Hi, I'm Gina Cicchetti. I know we've covered a lot in our application workshop series, and I'm joined here today by Jennifer O'Toole, our Associate Director of Career Development, who's going to shed light on the resume and interview process. Jen, I usually tell applicants this is not the time to be humble. They gotta hype themselves up. And so what suggestions do you have to highlight their experiences? And can you help us understand how they can present themselves better?
Definitely. It's not bragging. If it's not on the paper, we don't know about it. And so it's one way to communicate your prior experience and skills, but you want to start with really strong verbs, action words, show your accomplishments, highlight the things that you want us to see, and make sure that it's being well-rounded. Tell us all the parts of your background. So your work experience, your internship experience, your volunteer experience, making sure that it outlines really all the things that you've accomplished.
And I think you started to touch upon that, but oftentimes for MBA applications, I hear we want an impact resume. So you mentioned those action verbs. Tell us a little bit more about that.
An impact resume, think of it this way. Think of an accountant. An accountant's job is an accountant's job. And so you can describe what you do, or you can describe the impact that you had through that work. And so that's what you want to do is don't tell me the tasks you've completed, tell me about the results. So explain what impact did you have, even if you were part of a team. Were you contributing towards the success of a program? Did you save revenue? Did you cut costs? Did you problem solve? So don't tell me what you did, tell me the outcomes of it. And what that communicates to an admissions review committee is that you see the big picture of how your role influences the company. And that's really what business school is all about.
So for our master's students, oftentimes they don't have work experience. They have strong internships or student organization opportunities, but many don't have the work experience for the resume. And so how can they beef up their resume and make it stand out a little bit more?
It's definitely quality over quantity. You want to be able to highlight the areas that you can speak to and why that's going to make you a good candidate for one of our graduate programs. However, don't dismiss a lot of things. Let's say you have two applicants and they both have similar GPAs, undergrad experience, and one had a part-time job at a restaurant. Well, I've been a waitress. That's one of the hardest jobs in the world. Put that on there, but talk about, not that you waited tables, but maybe you trained people. Maybe you were part of a campaign that improved sales. So look at what you did, but look at it from the context of the reader. So tell me about what you gained from that experience, what you bring with it. Don't underestimate any kind of internship experience, of course, any activities you've done in school, extracurriculars, even in academic projects or different presentations that you've done. If you could talk about the skills you gained from it, put it on that resume.
Oftentimes in the admissions process, I'm asked well, I haven't led teams. I don't have leadership experience, which I say, well, that's why you're going back to school.
Right.
We are training future business leaders. And so again, any advice to help somebody kind of think more about their experiences or their career to say, you have had those opportunities, even if it's out in the community, but it's not always just I'm managing a team.
Right, leadership isn't just about being a boss and having a team of people report to you. Think about back to, have you ever led a school project? Have you ever been in a class assignment, group projects where you became the leader? Have you ever been asked to train a new hire at a job you've had? Have you ever stepped up into a leadership role when you weren't asked to because you saw something needed done? What we're looking for is leadership potential.
Thinking a little bit more specifically about the structure, do we have to list every single task like I'm taking my job description and there could be 10, 13 bullet points, or should we cut that down to, a certain number?
Oh yeah, you want to list your bullets and put the most important bullets at the top, most relevant and most recent. So the position that you're currently in or most recently had, if it's the most relevant and the most recent, it should have the most bullets, no more than 5. And then as you start to work backwards chronologically, your last position, if it's the furthest removed, it should have the least. And also remember, if you're talking about a skill that you did in one job, you don't have to repeat it again. It's assumed if you did it in one job, you're going to bring that skill with you. So that helps on the redundancy and not needing to put all those bullets on there.
When I'm looking at resumes, I am always drawn to the personal interest section. So, what are the thoughts on a personal interest section?
We also use a holistic admissions process. And so when you're putting the parts of yourself, your passions, your interests on there, it really is part of the holistic admission process. But my word of caution is, anything you're putting on there, you have to be comfortable speaking about. Make sure it's true to who you are, make sure it's a passion for you, make sure it's something you're comfortable speaking about, and then go.
Any final tips about the resume you'd like to share?
I do. I have 3 things I want to say. Proofread, proofread, and proofread. You could have the most well-written resume. You could be the most qualified candidate. But if there are typos in your resume, there's grammatical issues, it's not formatted well, it will not be considered. And it's really unfortunate. But this is a reflection on who you are. And so I encourage you to find a colleague, a mentor, a trusted person that is not AI influenced, because sometimes they're the ones making the mistakes in the first place.
Yeah.
Find somebody, have them read that resume, definitely, because nothing will put you in the no pile faster than that. We don't want that to be a reason you're not considered.
Great. Thank you for those resume tips.
Sure.
And as we transition to interviewing, this is where your voice is finally heard in the application process. And so besides practicing for interviewing, what other advice do you have for an applicant?
You do want to research. You want to research why Pitt Business, why this degree, and why you. An interview with a graduate program is no different than an interview with a company, because it's a two-way street. We're trying to learn more about the candidate, and you're trying to learn more about us. So why Pitt Business? Why the degree? Why now? And then why you? Why should you have a seat in that class?
For our MBA students, they interview with Executive-in-Residence. And so briefly share the importance of knowing who you're interviewing with, and just a little bit about our process here with the Executive-in-Residence.
Yes, Executives-in-Residence, EIR for short, alphabet soup. Our Executive-in-Residence, we're really, really fortunate to have a team. These are C-level executives that have worked across multiple industries and various job functions, and they actually support our students with all career development-related support. So we can help resume prep, but nobody better than one of our EIRs can talk about what it means to be a chief human resource officer at an international company. So they are there to help students navigate the various industries they work in. And so when they're part of the interviewing process, a really critical part, their feedback from that business perspective is invaluable. So it's important to prepare just like you would for an internship interview. Research that person, come prepared with questions, and use it as a learning opportunity for yourself to learn a little bit more about how they view the program and see you in it. You do want to be very specific with your answers. No vague responses. Come prepared with what we call the STAR approach in answering, which is give us specific examples. What was the situation, the task that you're asked to complete, what action did you take, and what were the results? Because that's going to make you memorable. And it's also going to give us real concrete examples of how you've completed these tasks in the past. So I definitely would encourage being prepared in that sense, because vague answers also, sometimes it happens where you might ask about a time where things didn't go well. You had a conflict, and maybe it was a conflict you had with a former employer or boss or colleague. You don't want to bring that up in an interview. Even if it's true, that's not the place to talk about that. You want to talk about an experience that you grew and learned from without talking negatively about prior experiences. So those are the 2 things I'd recommend.
And our master's applicants, they apply through Big Interview. So it's not a live interview. Any advice and tips to handle the online virtual
I think
recordings?
it's a little bit easy. I think it's like the best of both worlds, because you still have the interview experience, but you get to practice a little bit. So you want to make sure the background is clean, clear, and well lit. Be aware of that. You get to try out that technology, make sure that that's working well. And then with Big Interview, you do get a pause after the questions. So take advantage of that pause, take your time, talk slower, and make sure that you're looking at that camera and treating that camera as if that there's a real person on the other side of it. So show your personality, your enthusiasm, your interest, make that eye contact, and be aware of your nonverbals.
And finally, how we end every session, final tips for interviewing.
The best strategy is just to prepare with what I said earlier, with why Pitt Business, why the degree, why now, and also where you see yourself going. We want to help you get there. And so it's really great when individuals who are interviewing have a clear sense of what they're looking to do to advance themselves. Even if the goal is just to improve in these areas, we want to hear a little bit more about that, because that's what we're here to do, is help students succeed.
Great. Thank you. And I hope you learned a lot about the School of Business, the application process. Be mindful of the tips and tricks we've provided to you, but at the end of the day, best of luck for your application. And if you have any questions, please reach out to our office.